My name is Erin Lewis, and I will be doing my Pecha Kucha on the idea of the unbreakable and unshakable Black woman, and more specifically, the Black mother. In many of my political science classes, we often discuss the idea of intersectionality. Coined by Kimberly Crenshaw, it was originally used for the purpose of discussing the relationship between being Black and being a woman. With this intersectionality comes the stereotype of Black women being the epitome of strength and resolve under pressure, possessing the ability to do whatever is necessary to succeed. As stated in this clip from Tyler Perry's Meet the Browns, one thing a Black women know how to do, that's make it. But how did this positive stereotype even begin? It was Black women's attempt to rebrand themselves after centuries of the type of negative stereotyping pictured. The Jezebel stereotype pictures a lascivious and morally loose woman, the mammy as the motherly and sacrificing caregiver, and the sapphire, the hot-tempered, angry, and willing to square up with anyone, Black woman. These stereotypes have caused Black women to rebrand themselves as something more acceptable, tolerable, and even noteworthy. The unbreakable and unshakable Black woman. Black women are now often viewed as the backbone of most Black families or any single Black individual, especially sons and male student athletes / professional athletes. Tyler Perry's Meet the Browns is a prime example of the idea of a Black single mother going it alone and doing whatever she has to do to ensure that her and her children survive. Brenda Brown is a Black single mother with 3 kids and no support emotionally or financially from any of their fathers. They are living well below the poverty line, and she discusses how she often goes hungry and even then knows that her children probably still didn't get enough to eat that day. However, Brenda refuses to give up and constantly pushes each day to provide for her children. Even after their electricity gets cut off and her son Mike Jr. pleads with her to let him get a job to help out, she refuses, saying that she wants him to focus on school and playing ball. She offers him unwavering support in his academic and athletic goals. Sadly, while Brenda upholds the positive stereotyping set forth by Black women by being strong and independent, the negative Jezebel stereotyping is still alive and well in this film. In this scene, she is chastised by her sister for having 3 kids by 3 different men, which furthers the stereotype of Black women being hypersexualized and having no clear morals or boundaries. Another important note to make is that the father isn't present, and this serves only to advance the narrative that the mother is the sole provider and strength behind a student athlete's motivation to do well. Even when the father is present, he isn't. Films have done a good job of negating the presence of those fathers that actually are involved. Glory Road, based on the true story of a small college's basketball team's rise to become NCAA champions, almost completely ignores student-athlete Harry Flournoy's father's presence in his life. His father is mentioned only once in the film, close to the beginning, and pictured once at the end. While this was done to advance the narrative of the Black mother's support, there was no need. Now, this film features one of my favorite characters to ever grace the screen, Amy Flournoy. When her son Harry was close to flunking off that team and out of school, my girl came up to the college, sat in his classes with him, and forced him to study and participate. This refusal to let her son fail is a great example of the idea that Black women will do whatever is necessary to help their children succeed. However, as passionate as Amy is about her son's success, her sitting in on her adult son's classes and forcing his participation is very closely related to the sapphire stereotype, an intolerable, forceful, and feared Black woman who will happily bulldoze over anyone in her way to get what she wants. Now, a similar thing does happen in the play-turned-movie Fences. Troy Maxson, the father of Corey, is physically involved in his son's life, but very emotionally checked out. In an attempt to teach his son a lesson, he basically states that he doesn't have to like his own son as long as he's providing for him. Troy's stark and blatant disregard for what his son wants makes Rose's support, though minimal, push the narrative even more that the Black mother is the most caring and most supportive parent of their Black male student athletes. He goes as far as telling Corey's football coach that Corey will no longer be playing football because he wants him to work. He's completely unsupportive of his son's dreams, which makes the support of Corey's mother, Rose, that much more significant and appreciated. While Rose works tirelessly to keep her family together and support her son, she's pushed into the trap of the mammy stereotype. In the film, her husband has an affair and gets another woman pregnant. But what does Rose do? She rants for a while, but eventually she takes the child in as her own and cares for her and nurtures her as any good mammy would do. Even in her rant, she discusses that she's often unhappy with Troy, but she stays because it's her responsibility to care for her family above her own happiness. Black women have been and still are negatively stereotyped up, down, left, right, and diagonal diagonal, despite our attempts to be taken serious and viewed as a force to be reckoned with, especially when it comes to our children. Even though this idea has been accepted and constantly used throughout films as seen, and even molded into the idea of everyone having an inner black woman, we can never escape the original stereotypes that view us as spineless, morally loose, and bitter. But to be honest, while I'm concerned with how the world views us, I'm not concerned about black women's ability to continue to strive, thrive, and succeed, because as black women, the one thing we know how to do is make it.